My dear students, welcome back to our channel. Students, in this video I am explaining JNTU Hyderabad MBA first semester. Subject Cross-Cultural Management. Important short and long questions and answers. Let's start quick revision. Write a note on business communication across cultures. Business communication across cultures. Business communication across cultures refers to how people from different cultural backgrounds communicate in a work setting. Every culture has its own way of expressing ideas, gestures, and behaviors, and understanding these differences is crucial for successful business interactions. Key aspects. 1. Language differences. People from different cultures may speak different languages or have unique phrases. For example, in Germany, business communication is very formal and to the point, while in the United States, it may be more casual and direct. 2. Nonverbal communication. Body language, gestures, and facial expressions can vary greatly across cultures. In some cultures, eye contact shows confidence, like in the US, while in others, like in Japan, too much eye contact may be seen as rude. 3. Time perception. Different cultures have different views on time. In countries like the US or Germany, being punctual is very important. In contrast, in countries like India or Brazil, being slightly late is often acceptable, and time may be seen as more flexible. 4. Respect and hierarchy. Some cultures, like in Japan or Mexico, place great importance on respect for authority and hierarchy. In these cultures, people may communicate more formally with superiors. In contrast, in cultures like Sweden or the Netherlands, business communication tends to be more equal and informal. Example. Imagine an American and a Japanese businessperson meeting. The American might greet the Japanese person with a handshake, expecting a quick, straightforward conversation. However, the Japanese person may bow and prefer a more formal, polite approach. This could lead to misunderstandings if not understood. Conclusion. In business, understanding cultural differences in communication is key. Respecting these differences can lead to better relationships, smoother transactions, and fewer misunderstandings. Whether it's language, body language, or attitudes toward time, being aware of cultural diversity helps create a more effective and respectful work environment. Next important long question is: discuss in detail the barriers to intercultural communication. Barriers to intercultural communication. Intercultural communication refers to the exchange of information between people from different cultures. However, various barriers can hinder effective communication across cultures. These barriers can lead to misunderstandings, confusion, and even conflicts in business or personal interactions. 1. Language differences. One of the most common barriers is language. People from different cultures may speak different languages, or even if they speak the same language, they might use different terms, idioms, or accents. For example, in the US, the word chips refers to thin, crispy snacks, but in the UK, it refers to what Americans call fries. This can lead to confusion if both parties are not familiar with each other's language usage. 2. Nonverbal misunderstandings. Body language, gestures, and facial expressions can vary greatly across cultures. A gesture that is acceptable in one culture may be offensive in another. For example, in some cultures, a thumbs-up gesture is a sign of approval, while in other cultures, it can be seen as rude or insulting. Misinterpreting body language can cause discomfort or miscommunication. 3. Cultural stereotyping. Cultural stereotyping happens when people make assumptions about others based on their cultural background. For example, assuming that all Italians are loud or that all Germans are punctual can lead to incorrect judgments. These stereotypes can hinder open and respectful communication by influencing how people perceive each other. 4. Ethnocentrism. Ethnocentrism is when individuals believe their own culture is superior to others. This attitude can create barriers because people may dismiss or undervalue the perspectives of others. For example, a person from a high-context culture, where much of the communication is implied, may find it difficult to understand someone from a low-context culture, where communication is direct and explicit. 5. Different communication styles. Cultures have different ways of communicating. For example, in some cultures, direct communication is valued, such as in the US, while in others, indirect communication is preferred, like in Japan. This difference can cause confusion if one person expects straightforward answers, while the other uses a more subtle or polite way of expressing themselves. Conclusion. Barriers to intercultural communication can make it difficult to understand one another. By being aware of language differences, nonverbal cues, stereotypes, ethnocentrism, and communication styles, we can improve our ability to interact effectively with people from other cultures. Awareness and respect are key to overcoming these barriers and building strong, productive relationships across cultures. Next important long question is: explain the following in the context of international negotiations. A. Negotiations strategies. B. Styles of negotiation. Negotiation strategies and styles in international negotiations. In international negotiations, understanding different strategies and styles is crucial for successful outcomes. These strategies and styles help negotiators from different cultures work together, understand each other's goals, and reach agreements that benefit both sides. A. Negotiation strategies. Negotiation strategies refer to the approaches negotiators use to achieve their objectives in discussions. Here are a few common strategies. 1. Competitive strategy. In this approach, one party aims to win at all costs, often focusing on achieving the best possible deal for themselves. For example, in a business contract negotiation, one party might try to secure the lowest possible price, not considering the needs of the other party. 2. Collaborative strategy. This strategy aims for a win-win situation, where both parties work together to find mutually beneficial solutions. For example, in a trade agreement between countries, negotiators may focus on sharing resources and benefits equally, leading to a positive outcome for both sides. 3. Compromising strategy. In this strategy, both sides give up something in order to reach a quick and fair agreement. For instance, during an international environmental agreement, two countries might agree to share the costs of reducing pollution, though not at the levels each party initially desired. 4. Avoiding strategy. In some cases, negotiators may choose not to engage deeply and avoid conflict. This may happen if the negotiation isn't urgent or if parties want to delay the decision until conditions improve. B. Styles of negotiation. Negotiation styles refer to the manner in which negotiators conduct their discussions. Some common styles include 1. Direct negotiation. In this style, negotiators are straightforward and clear about their needs. For example, Americans are often known for being direct in negotiations, stating their goals and expectations clearly. 2. Indirect negotiation. In some cultures, like Japan or many Arab countries, negotiators prefer to communicate in a more subtle, indirect way. They may use nonverbal cues and take more time to reach agreements, avoiding confrontation. 3. Emotional negotiation. This style involves showing emotions, like enthusiasm or frustration, during negotiations. For example, in some Mediterranean cultures, showing emotion is a normal part of the process and can help strengthen relationships. 4. Formal negotiation. In cultures like Germany or South Korea, negotiations are usually formal and structured, with clear rules and detailed contracts. Conclusion. Understanding different strategies and styles in international negotiations helps negotiators bridge cultural gaps, adapting strategies and respecting negotiation styles can lead to better communication, fewer misunderstandings, and successful outcomes for all parties involved. Next, fifth unit. Fifth unit. First important short question is, what do you mean by cross-cultural team management? Cross-cultural team management refers to managing a team made up of people from different cultural backgrounds. It involves understanding and respecting diverse work styles, communication methods, and values. For example, a team with members from the US, Japan, and Brazil may need different approaches to communication, direct in the US, indirect in Japan, and more personal in Brazil. Effective management means adapting leadership styles to respect these differences, fostering collaboration, and ensuring everyone feels valued. In doing so, a manager can create a more inclusive, productive, and harmonious team. First important long question is, explain the guidelines to be followed while working with international teams. Guidelines for working with international teams. Working with international teams requires sensitivity to cultural differences, clear communication, and mutual respect. By following certain guidelines, teams can collaborate effectively despite cultural diversity. 1. Respect cultural differences. Every culture has unique values, traditions, and ways of working. For example, some cultures emphasize hierarchy, where employees show great respect for authority, such as in Japan or Mexico, while others prefer egalitarianism and open communication, like in the Netherlands or Sweden. It's important to be aware of these cultural differences and respect them, such as addressing superiors more formally in some cultures. 2. Clear and simple communication. Language barriers can create confusion, even when team members speak the same language. To avoid misunderstandings, it's important to communicate clearly and use simple language. For example, using terms that may be common in one culture, like idioms or slang, may not be understood by others. Instead of saying "let's brainstorm," Say, let's think of ideas together to ensure clarity for everyone on the team. 3. Adapt to different work styles. Different cultures have varying approaches to work. In some countries, punctuality is crucial, like in Germany, while in others, a more flexible approach to time may be acceptable, like in Brazil or India. Similarly, some cultures prefer detailed planning and structure, while others focus more on adaptability. Recognizing and adapting to these differences in how people approach deadlines, meetings, and problem-solving is essential. 4. Encourage inclusivity and participation. In a diverse team, it's important to ensure that everyone feels comfortable and included. Encourage all team members to contribute, especially those from cultures where speaking up in a group setting may not be as common. For example, in some Asian cultures, employees might be less likely to voice their opinions openly in meetings. As a leader, you should create a safe space for everyone to share their ideas. 5. Build trust and relationships. Building strong relationships in international teams takes time. In some cultures, trust is built through personal interaction, like in Latin America, while in others, trust is developed through professional competency and performance, like in the US or Germany. Take time to understand how trust is established in each culture and adapt accordingly. Conclusion. Working with international teams can be very rewarding if cultural differences are respected, communication is clear, and everyone feels included. By following these guidelines, teams can work together smoothly, leveraging their diversity to achieve great results. Next important long question is group processes during international encounters. Group processes during international encounters. Group processes during international encounters refer to how individuals from different cultures interact and collaborate in a team setting. These processes can include communication, decision-making, conflict resolution, and building relationships. Understanding these processes is crucial for effective teamwork in a multicultural environment. 1. Communication styles. Different cultures communicate in various ways, which can affect group dynamics. For example, in some cultures, like the US or Germany, people tend to be direct and assertive in their communication. In contrast, cultures like Japan or India may prefer indirect communication and avoid confrontation. This difference can lead to misunderstandings. For instance, an American team member might interpret a Japanese colleague's silence as a lack of interest, while the Japanese colleague may be respecting hierarchy or avoiding direct disagreement. 2. Decision-making processes. In international teams, decision-making can vary based on cultural norms. In hierarchical cultures, decisions may be made by a leader or a few top members, while in more egalitarian cultures, decisions might be made collectively by the whole team. For example, in a team from Japan, decisions might take longer as they involve consensus building, while in a US team, decisions could be quicker and more individualistic. Recognizing these differences is important for team cohesion. 3. Conflict resolution. Conflicts are inevitable in any group, but how they are handled differs across cultures. In some cultures, such as those in many Asian countries, conflict may be avoided or addressed in private to maintain harmony. On the other hand, in cultures like the US or Israel, open confrontation and direct discussions about the issue are more common. Understanding how different cultures approach conflict helps avoid escalation and ensures smoother resolutions. 4. Building relationships and trust. Trust plays a critical role in international group processes. In some cultures, trust is built slowly through personal relationships, while in others, trust is earned through professional competence. For example, in Latin American cultures, people often build trust through personal connections before moving to business discussions, while in the US, trust might be built quickly through demonstrated skills and reliability. Conclusion. Group processes during international encounters involve navigating differences in communication, decision-making, conflict resolution, and trust building. By understanding and respecting these cultural variations, teams can collaborate more effectively, avoid misunderstandings, and work towards successful outcomes. Next important long question is conflicts and cultural difference. Conflicts and cultural differences. Conflicts often arise when people from different cultures work together due to differences in values, communication styles, and work expectations. Understanding these cultural differences is key to managing and resolving conflicts effectively. 1. Communication styles. Different cultures have different ways of expressing themselves. In some cultures, like the US or Germany, people tend to be direct and clear when expressing their thoughts or disagreements. For example, if an American employee disagrees with a proposal, they might openly say so in a meeting. On the other hand, in cultures like Japan or India, people might avoid direct confrontation and express disagreement more subtly. This difference can lead to misunderstandings. For instance, an American may think the Japanese colleague is not participating or engaged, while the Japanese person may be trying to avoid causing conflict. 2. Attitudes toward authority. Cultural differences in how authority is viewed can also lead to conflict. In cultures like Japan or Mexico, there is a high respect for hierarchy and employees may avoid questioning or disagreeing with their superiors openly. In contrast, in countries like the US or Sweden, employees may feel comfortable challenging or questioning authority in a more open way. A situation where an American employee openly disagrees with a manager could cause confusion or tension with a colleague from a culture that respects hierarchy. 3. Decision-making styles. The way decisions are made can vary significantly across cultures. In some cultures, decisions are made quickly by individuals, like in the US, while in others, decisions require group consensus and can take longer, like in Japan or India. This difference can create conflict when a quick decision is needed and some team members want to move forward quickly, while others prefer to take more time to consult everyone. 4. Conflict resolution approaches. Cultural differences also influence how people approach conflict. In some cultures, like in many Western countries, people may prefer to address conflicts directly and quickly. However, in cultures such as those in the Middle East or Asia, people may avoid direct confrontation and seek harmony. If this difference is not recognized, it can lead to frustration and unresolved tensions. Conclusion. Cultural differences can create conflicts in international settings, especially in communication, authority, decision-making, and conflict resolution. Recognizing and respecting these differences is essential for reducing misunderstandings and fostering better collaboration. By being open to learning about other cultures and adjusting expectations, conflicts can be managed effectively and lead to more positive outcomes. Next important long question is understanding and dealing with conflicts. Understanding and dealing with conflicts. Conflicts are a natural part of working with others, especially in a multicultural environment. Understanding the causes of conflicts and knowing how to handle them is important for creating a positive and productive team. 1. Understanding the causes of conflict. Conflicts usually arise due to differences in values, goals, personalities, or cultural backgrounds. For example, in a team with members from the US and Japan, a conflict might arise because of different communication styles. The American team member might be direct and assertive, while the Japanese member may prefer a more indirect and polite approach. These differences can create misunderstandings, even when there is no ill intention. Other common causes of conflict include unclear roles, different work styles, or miscommunication. For example, if one team member prefers to work independently and another prefers group collaboration, this can lead to tension. 2. Dealing with conflict. There are several ways to address and resolve conflicts. Open communication. One of the best ways to deal with conflict is through clear and honest communication. For example, if there is a disagreement about a project's direction, encourage team members to express their concerns respectfully and listen to each other's perspectives. Open communication helps identify the root cause of the issue and find solutions. Active listening. Listening to others with empathy is key in resolving conflicts. For example, if an argument breaks out between two team members, instead of immediately jumping to conclusions, take the time to understand both sides of the issue before suggesting a solution. Finding common ground. Focus on the shared goals and interests of the team. For instance, if a conflict arises over how to approach a task, remind the team that everyone's goal is the success of the project. This can help shift the focus from differences to cooperation. Compromise. Sometimes, conflicts can be resolved by finding a middle ground. For example, if two team members have different working styles, they might agree to a flexible arrangement that accommodates both styles. Conclusion. Understanding the causes of conflict and knowing how to address them is essential for maintaining healthy and productive relationships in any team. By encouraging open communication, listening actively, finding common ground, and being willing to compromise, conflicts can be resolved in a way that benefits everyone involved. Next important long question is: write a note on developing intercultural relationship. How does culture influence the way people communicate in conflict? Developing intercultural relationships. Developing intercultural relationships involves understanding and respecting the differences in values, communication styles, and traditions between people from different cultures. Building strong relationships across cultures requires openness, patience, and a willingness to learn. To develop intercultural relationships, it's important to 1. Be open-minded. Approach cultural differences with curiosity rather than judgment. For example, if you meet someone from a culture where relationships are built slowly, like in many Asian cultures, don't take it personally if they are not immediately friendly. Instead, give them time to feel comfortable. To learn about other cultures, take time to understand the history, values, and communication styles of other cultures. For instance, in some cultures, direct eye contact is considered rude, while in others it is a sign of respect. Knowing such differences can avoid misunderstandings. 3. Adapt your communication style. Flexibility is key when working with people from other cultures. For example, in some cultures like in Japan, silence during meetings is common and shows respect, while in Western cultures, silence may be interpreted as uncertainty or lack of interest. Adapting to these communication styles will help build trust and rapport. Culture and communication in conflict. Culture plays a significant role in how people communicate during conflict. Different cultural backgrounds influence the way people approach, handle, and resolve disagreements. 1. Direct versus indirect communication. In cultures like the US or Germany, people are generally more direct when addressing conflict. They openly state their opinions or concerns. In contrast, cultures like Japan or India may avoid direct confrontation and communicate more indirectly to preserve harmony and save face. For example, if an American colleague disagrees with a proposal, they might say so directly in a meeting. However, a colleague from Japan might choose to express disagreement subtly or wait until a private conversation. 2. Conflict resolution styles. Some cultures prioritize maintaining harmony, while others value clear resolution. In collectivist cultures, like in many Asian countries, the group's unity is more important than the individual's needs, so conflicts may be avoided or resolved quietly to preserve group harmony. In contrast, individualistic cultures, like the US, might encourage open discussion and direct confrontation to solve the problem quickly. Conclusion. Developing intercultural relationships requires understanding and respecting differences, including how culture influences communication. Whether it's during a conflict or a routine conversation, cultural awareness helps improve understanding and reduces misunderstandings. By adapting our communication styles and embracing cultural differences, we can build stronger and more effective relationships across cultures.